Hi, this is Ruth Bruner. I'm here with Dick Ochsner to do an oral history interview about his life on the farm and growing up north of Windsor. So give us your date of birth, full name, and location of your farm.
Richard George Ochsner, November 6, 1933. I'll be 89 years old in a couple of days. And I'm located 2 miles north of the Windsor Cemetery on the east side of the road. Been here since 1963.
Wow, on this farm?
On this same place.
Wow.
I bought the farm in 1965 from my father-in-law, who bought it in 63, and I farmed it for him for 2 years. And then I bought it from him in 1965.
Okay, who is your father-in-law?
Pete Ehrlich.
And your wife Jerry,
Yes.
right? Okay. So what changes have you seen on this farm and ground that
I've seen a lot of changes. This road out here was an old dirt road. You'd get maybe 1 or 2 cars a day driving by out here. Now it's one car after the other, trucks going all the time. I've changed a lot on the farm. I had done a lot of leveling on the farm so it would make it easier to irrigate. But still it was a lot of work. I sold the farm in 1910. 1999, I think it was.
1990.
And I sold it to Kay Montfort, the youngest Montfort girl. She built this house up here on the hill, and then she got a divorce. She had 2 girls, they were both in college, so the house was too big for her, so she ended up selling it, trading it to the guy that owns it now by the name of Jeff Damaski. He owns Journey Homes. He built this lake right here to the north of me.
Okay, so that was level before that, huh?
Yes, that was a farm ground at the time.
Oh.
So he's got a 200-foot span bridge goes across there. He's a big-time game hunter. He goes to different countries and shoots animals. He's got over 300 animals. He doubled the size of the house from when he bought it. And in the part that he added on, he's got over 300 animals, full-bodied animals, not just the heads, the full-bodied animals. As far as the farm here, I done some leveling. I started out with cement or dirt ditch, irrigating tubes like all the other farmers. Finally went to the soft plastic, the New Flex they called it. And then after that I went to gated pipe. I farmed with gated pipe for a few years, and then finally when he ended up buying it, he put a pivot, a sprinkler on. So that made it a lot easier. Otherwise I probably would have quit sooner.
Because you just completed your last harvest.
But I just completed my last harvest. Price was good. The yield could have been a little better, but I'm satisfied with whatever it is, it is. But price could have been a little better. But I've lived here. In 1969, Howard Smith built a house up on the hill, who was a manager for Kodak. And in 1969, I lost some money feeding cattle, had a hailstorm.
Oh.
So I told Wayne Miller, who was the mayor of Windsor at the time, I was going to build a feedlot up on my dryland hill and get bigger into feeding cattle. Well, he called Howard Smith and told Howard that I was going to build a feedlot pretty close to his house that he was going to build. So he called me, wanted to know if we could meet, and he wanted to talk to me. So when he come out the next time, we sat down and talked. He was as nice a guy as you'd ever want. He said, I won't stop you from building a feedlot if that's what you want, but would you consider coming to work at Kodak? He offered me a pretty good job down at Kodak. I was in charge of all the grounds, assistant farm manager, roads, streets, snow removal in the wintertime, all of that kind of stuff, all the lawns and stuff like that. And so I worked there for 22 years at Kodak. In 1991, they come with a real good retirement. They paid us every year we got 2 weeks pay. So I had 22 years in, so I got 44 weeks of pay. I had 17 weeks of vacation built up that they paid me for. And they also, what they call bridge your Social Security. I was 58 years old at the time, and they paid my Social Security, just like I'd be driving on Social Security till 62. Insurance for me and wife, full insurance. We never paid a penny on the insurance. They paid everything for us. And so I worked there till 91, and then I had rented the farm out when I went to work down there to Jerry's brother Warren. And he farmed it for 4 years, I think. And then when Lonnie got old enough to drive tractor and stuff, we decided to do it ourselves. So we bought an old tractor and stuff like that back, and between him and Jerry, they pretty much farmed it. She could set tubes with the best of them.
That's your wife, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we farmed it, and then I retired down there in 91. So what I was kind of doing part-time, I was doing full-time. So that kept me busy as I wanted to be, as busy as I wanted to be. You know, it was a lot simpler with the sprinkler, and I bought a different tractor as time went on. I got a GPS on the tractor. I can go out there and push the button, and that tractor will drive to the lower end. It'll beep when it's there. I turn it around, push the button, it'll drive to the other end, and it won't be off an inch one way or the other from the other end. That's how perfect that is. Probably one of the more things that I can ever remember in farming that advanced as much as it did is the GPS on tractors.
And it would drive it too.
It'd drive it to the lower end. You could skip 6 rows of corn or whatever, drive through, come back and take them 6 rows, and it wouldn't be off over an inch one way or the other.
For planting or
Yep.
Plowing?
Everything.
Or cutting, harvesting, everything.
Whatever, yeah, you could do it.
So do you take a nap while you're
could.
driving? So what was your first tractor like that you bought?
First tractor, when I got out of the service, I started farming right in Windsor where Safeway and all of that is. Was the Hickman place.
Okay.
The banker owned that. The first tractor I got was a little old VAC case. And that was in 1956 that I started farming there. That tractor was like a 1952 or 54 or something like that. And from there, then I went up to John Deere B and a John Deere 60 and kept moving up whenever I could afford it. Ended up with the one I got today now.
So how have the prices changed of tractors?
Oh, they're outrageous. They have went up big time. This tractor that I got with the GPS and stuff is probably about $1,000 tractor. It just keeps going up. So
Makes us appreciate the taste of the food you raise
Yes.
and the cattle
Yes.
you feed.
So I had quit feeding cattle and just went to work down at Kodak and worked down there. And, which I enjoyed it down there. I had a lot of good people working under me, for me. I had a lot of ex-farmers, Jeannie Miller, Marv Brinkman, Albert Weber, people like that you could tell them what to do. You didn't have to go show them, they could do it. You went and they'd done it, you know. So.
How many acres did Kodak have that they
They had
farmed?
3,000 acres of farm ground. That 3 different farmers farmed it.
Wow. So why'd they want so many acres?
Well, at the time they bought it, they thought everything from Rochester was going to move out here.
Okay.
That they had intentions of building buildings on most of that. Well, somewhere along the line, somebody up in management didn't keep up with the times, and they lost out. And of course, Kodak had a big lawsuit with Polaroid. Kodak come out with a camera like Polaroid that took the picture and put it out right away. Well, Kodak come out with one the same way. But Polaroid sued them then for the infringing on their benefits on their camera. And so Kodak lost a lot of money in that lawsuit. And then they just didn't keep up with the times like everybody else around, you know. They kept with the iPads, computers, different phones, all of that. Kodak just didn't do that.
Didn't do digital film, or, well, they didn't have to, you didn't need film. They did X-ray film.
Yeah.
Okay, what parts, so did you, I'm going to move a little closer so when the trucks come we can hear you, not the trucks, but, so how long did they do the X-ray film, or did you ever go and work inside
I
any of
never
the
did
buildings?
work inside.
Okay.
So I don't know. In fact, I'm not sure what they done in some of the buildings. Some of the buildings was in the dark that they done in the film and stuff. They had dark rooms for a lot of it.
So what kind of crops did they grow on their ground, or what was your job
they had
entail?
different farmers. They raised beets, silage corn, hay, and shelled corn. And they usually sold it to different farmers or whatever, different ag land or wherever they could sell it. When they'd come in with a check, Wayne Miller was actually over me, but he had no experience in farming or water or anything like that. So I had to pretty much educate him in his job. You know, they'd come in with a beet check, and I'd see him sitting there wanting to write it out. And I'd say, well, Wayne, what do we get, a third on beets? Yeah. And so me telling him what he got, or asking him what we got, I basically told him.
Because that was the normal
And then he
contract.
could figure it out then.
Yeah.
From there.
For if you rented out your ground, the people that owned the ground got a third, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where did the other 2/3
half
go?
on hay and
Half on hay.
fourth on some crops, just depending what it was. But
Why was beets so, just a third?
well,
Sugar
beets yielded pretty good, and there was pretty good money in beets back then.
Was the seed expensive for the farmer and,
Yes,
and
it
the
was.
labor?
It was a lot of hand labor back then when it first started to thin them and hoe them and everything back then.
So you knew a
Oh,
third
yeah.
for the owner. And
Yeah, basically, what I would ask him what it was. By asking him what it was, I was basically telling him.
Smart. So how did you get an education for all the things that you've done in your life? I mean, what would you say was the most helpful education? You mentioned you're in the military, and then before that?
Well, when I was at home, I went to Windsor School. My dad farmed down here on G.B. Winter's place, which is a mile down here, a little bit east where Steve Winter lives. That's where we lived, down there. And Dad fed cattle with G.B. Winter. Went to high school there. Jerry went to school there. She was 2 years behind me.
Oh, okay.
And so in 1954, I got drafted into the Army. The Korean War was over. And so that's when I went to Fort Ord, California, and took basic. And the 5 of us decided to go to North Carolina and not go to Korea right away. Well, we went to jump school, and jump school was hard. You was either running or doing push-ups all the time. And we each put $20 in the pot. 2 of us split the money. 3 of them washed out, couldn't make it.
And these are Windsor graduates?
No, these were
just people you met
in the service. And so I done that, and then I had a lot of experiences, a lot of fun things, and a lot of things that were hard. I seen a person get killed one night. He went out too fast beside this guy in front of him. His chute went inside of his, and it wouldn't open. The one guy finally pulled his reserve. It pulled him away from him, but the other guy never pulled his reserve, and he was dead when he hit the ground. So I run over there, and it wasn't pretty.
No.
But I done a lot of different things like that.
Did you see active duty or over in Korea? Did you have to ever go to Korea and jump?
No, I never did.
What ended the war so quickly, or?
Well, they had tried to end it several times before.
Okay.
If you really look it up, there's about 3 different dates that the Korean War ended. But it was a fun time at different things that we'd done. I can remember one thing. We had a regimental jump. The whole regiment was going to jump, and the commanding general wanted a Jeep, so we had to drop a Jeep for him. and we're flying along, and I'm working on the chutes, putting the chutes on that Jeep. And this second lieutenant, who had been in Korea, took a commission in Korea, and he come up, he said, "You go sit down, I'll finish this up." "Well, sir, I've done this a few times before. I think I know how to do it." "No, that's fine, I'll do it. You just go sit down." We get over the drop zone, the plane elevates a little bit, the Jeep goes out, the back chute opens, but the front chute don't open. And we're up there 1,000 feet or so in the air, and when you look down from up there and seen that Jeep hit frontwards like that, when it hit, there fly the hood and the doors. Next time it hit, there fly the wheels and stuff off of it. It just disintegrated that whole Jeep. Well, he just stood there and he laughed and he said, "That's good for that SOB. He can walk just like everybody else can."
You would have taken care of it though, right?
I would have put him right, yeah, because I had nothing against him. This guy, he didn't like some people because he had been in Korea and took a commission over there. So, but he become a real good friend of mine. And we've done a few things together.
Yeah.
But I got experience in there of meeting people, being able to talk to people, and maybe give orders to people. We'd have road marches, and we'd have to do different things, stuff that way. I was too far from home to get a 3-day pass and come home. But a lot of them that were there were close enough that if they got a 3-day pass, they could go home. But the thing that happened a lot of times, maybe on the second day of their 3-day pass, they had guard duty or KP, kitchen patrol. Well, they'd pay $20 to me if I would pull their guard duty for them so they could go home. So they'd pay me $20 and I'd go stand and do guard duty. I had a pair of boots that were spit shined and just perfect, my uniform and everything. I'd make general's orderly, stand in guard. I'd go salute the general and he'd hand me another 3-day pass. So I had a 3-day pass that I was on to start with, and I get another one from him. And so, same way at the KP, they paid $20 just like nothing for somebody to take their KP.
Yeah.
Well, there again, I kind of become friends with the cook. He worked the other ones harder, and I didn't do nothing.
You won't tell.
After the end of the day, I'd go down to the kitchen, and he'd fry up some steaks and eggs and stuff, and we'd have a big feast. And
So
stuff.
he appreciated you. And so where did you get your good work ethic, your solid work ethic?
Well, it probably was at home when I was still in high school. You know, at that time there was no loaders or anything. Everything was by hand. We loaded silage by hand, ground hay by hand, ground corn by hand, all of that kind of stuff that we done by hand, you know. And the later we stayed out at night, the earlier Dad would wake us up the next morning. So it was probably there where I learned to work, and I just, you know, ended up with that work ethics and done them kind of things, you know.
So you've enjoyed it. I mean, they're soon to be 89, and now your last harvest.
Yeah, my last harvest. I'm going to move into Greeley.
Okay.
Pruder River Road.
Yeah.
I've got a house in there.
Good for you. So what changes do you think will happen more on your farm after you move?
Well, he claims he's going to put it all into hay.
Okay.
The owner. So he looks down from his house. He can see a nice green field instead of that dried up corn and stuff. So that's fine. He kind of wanted me off. Told me, he wanted to do that, which I'm ready to move. I'm ready to give it up.
Yeah.
At my age, I think it's time I give it up.
Well, what will you miss most, and what will you miss least?
Just sitting out here in the shed and watching the cars go by, the airplanes flying over. You know, that's probably, some of the neighbors that stopped in and visit with me and stuff like that at times, you know. But I've got a place in Greeley that backs up to the river, so I can sit out on the deck and I can look at the river. There's a bunch of turkeys out there, there's deer out there. So I think I'll be all right.
Yeah, I mean, you having privacy, like when it was. So when you moved here, what was the farm like? It was this dry hill was always here, or?
Yeah, I built the shed, I built the grain bin, There was an old chicken coop over there. I tore that down. There was a milk barn here. There's a big hole where the cows were and stuff. I filled that all in, built this shed, and sided the house, and stuff like that. Put siding on and everything, just spruced it up so it looked halfway decent.
Oh, it does. It always looks good. Now, who planted the trees over here, the tree farm?
That's him up on the hill. His wife wanted a nursery, so he planted all them trees. Now, I don't know how many of them are fruit trees or not. I know I looked at some of them, and they're like flower and crab trees and stuff like that. So, but they wanted them. They've got a sprinkler system to each tree.
Wow, that's a lot.
Drip irrigation, so.
So tell me about your family. You've got your daughter here with, who else is?
Well, I've got one daughter, Denise, and I've got a son, Lonnie. Denise has got 2 kids, Kylie and Casey. Kylie's in Colorado Springs. Casey's in Phoenix. He married a girl, he went to school down there, married a girl from Phoenix. They've got 2 boys. Kylie's in Colorado Springs. She's got 2 boys. So I've got 4 great-grandsons.
Good for you.
So, you know, and I'm proud as can be of all of them. Every one of them have been just as good as can be. And, you know, all of them got decent educations. And the little ones are going to school. And, you know, I couldn't ask for anything more. The good Lord has blessed me so many times in so many ways. You know, He blessed me when I was almost broke and I had to go to work at Kodak. And He blessed me when I sold the farm. I sold it at a high price. And I took that money and I bought some houses in Greeley. Well, them houses have almost all doubled in price now. So yeah, I could have kept the farm and got more money for it today. But the houses have probably increased in value as much as the farm would have. And so I'm more than happy. Like I say, I'm so blessed that things have fallen in place the way they have. I worked there at Kodak, come out of there with a real good retirement, and I just, you know, feel really blessed that the good Lord looked after me.
Yeah, especially when you think your parents, where did they move or immigrate from?
They come from Krem?
Russia? Volga?
Russia.
Okay, Volga Germans.
Yeah. My mom was pretty little when she come over. Her mother had a boy, she no more got over here, named Fred. And her mother died in childbirth. And her dad then married another woman. This other woman says, I don't want them 2 kids. Don't want. Pauline was my mom and Fred was the other one. So they loaded up Fred one day and took him out by some winters over around Eaton. And they dumped him off and said, we'll be back later to get you. Well, they never did go back and get him. They left him there. The winters raised him. He changed his name. His original name was Wasmiller. And they changed his name to Winters. And he had a boy and a girl. And he lived around Greeley, farmed around Greeley all the time. So my dad worked in Fort Collins when we first was born over in Fort Collins. And he worked for a guy by the name of Ed Johnson. And he fed sheep over there. And at that time, they'd have corn in a granary. They'd have a coal bucket, and they'd dip in there, carry that bucket out, and spread it in a trough. When they'd get it all done, they'd open the gate, and sheep would come in and eat the corn. While they was eating that, he might probably do another pen. He worked hard over there feeding sheep. He finally told Johnson one day, I'm going to move. Well, where are you going to move? Well, to Windsor. Jake Winter offered me a job over there. He's going to give me $20 a month more than you're paying me and all the potatoes I can eat. Well, this guy says, well, what's that amount to? Potatoes is nothing. I'll give you $20 if you'll stay. Well, to us, there was 3 boys at that time. We had potatoes 3 times a day. And so potatoes was a big item. And so we moved over here, and he worked for him for a couple of years, and then Jake Winter decided to help my dad get started farming. And he had an 80-acre farm a mile north, a mile east of Alton. We moved up there, and we farmed up there. And we actually farmed with horses. We had 2 teams of horses. And we lived up there, and then From there we moved down here on G.B. Winter's place. And Dad farmed there until Bobby Hettinger and Nancy decided they wanted a farm there. And so they told Dad to move, so he moved to Greeley, farmed over there, and that's where he quit then in about 1965 or 6, something like that. He built a house in Fort Collins and moved to Fort Collins. And he thought he was rich. He sold his machinery, built a house for, I don't know, $35,000, had a little money left over in the bank, and he thought he was rich. You know, and anybody today with that amount of money, they want handouts or something probably, you know, but he was happy over there. Them 3 great big pine trees over there. He got them from the bank on Arbor Day. There was just a stick about that long, just a stem. He brought them out and says, here, plant them. I said, they'll never grow. Well, look at them today. You can't hardly see the top of them.
And they're on the north side of your house, so that's good.
I used to decorate them before they got so big all the time. I'd put red, white, and blue on them lights. I got lots of compliments on them trees. I had a great big ladder, and then I had a long stick. I'd use that stick to put the lights up around and stuff. Well, now one string wouldn't even go a third of the way around them, you know. So I ended up quitting after they got so big. I just finally ended up quitting decorating them. That was always one of my highlights of Christmas, was to decorate them. And Jerry had roses along the side. And we would decorate them, put lights on them roses, across the front on the fence and stuff. Had everything decorated real pretty.
And you're the only house out here. Where were the other closest neighbors?
Well, the closest one would have been up here probably, well, when we first moved.
Yeah. So you have seen lots of changes in your life.
Yes.
What's the one you're most thankful for? What in your life, we'll close with, what are you most thankful for in your life?
Probably my health and my wealth. I'm not wealthy, but I'm not broke, you know, and I'm thankful for my kids, Denise, Lonnie, Ryan, her 2 kids, Kylie and Casey, and George, her husband, and Tamara, who's Casey's, and the 4 great-grandsons. I couldn't ask for anything more than that. I've been so blessed to have a great family, and I've had a great life, and if I died today, I would have no regrets.
Well, it's been my great honor to interview you, Dick Ochsner, and to hear about your story and amazing life. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.